Welcome back to Educator.com. We're now going to take a look at creating a new page in Dreamweaver. And what I want to do is familiarize you just a teeny bit with the code behind the scenes. This is what makes Dreamweaver unique as a product. Dreamweaver is actually creating code behind the scenes that you can actually view. And we're going to take a look at that. That is the code that the browser reads when it goes to display your web page. So it is important to get an idea of what's behind the scenes. In most programs, you don't have that opportunity. It's all hidden from you. So let's create a new HTML page. Just click Create New HTML right smack in the middle of that Dreamweaver interface. And if I look at it in Design View, you can see there's nothing there. But if I look at it in Code View, what we're looking at is XHTML coding, which is the present standard for HTML. It's not exactly what we want to do if we're going to use a new website or create a new one from scratch. So what I want to do also is change this to the HTML5 doc type within Dreamweaver. So I'm going to do that now as well. So I'll go in and I'm going to click Edit, or in the Mac side, click the Dreamweaver menu and go down to where it says Preferences. And within the Preferences area, there's a category called New Document. And you can see my default document type right now is XHTML. And I just wanted to expose you to that as it is the present standard. And most websites you move into, it's going to be XHTML. But when we're building our travel website, we want to prepare for the future. So what we're going to do is use HTML instead, specifically HTML5. So I'm going to click this down arrow and say HTML5. Click OK, and from now on, any new page I create will be HTML5. So I'll close this one up. I'm going to click that same item here, Create New HTML. This time when I move into the code, it's much more simplified. So this is an HTML5 page. And what is this code that must remain on my page in order for my page to be viewed? Well, it starts with a doc type. And you can see this doc type is just plain HTML. So anytime you see doc type HTML, that means it's an HTML5 page. Now we have an HTML tag at the top. We have one at the bottom. And basically, an HTML page is like a person. They have a head and they have a body. And so does our web page. So here is the head section. And you can see within the head section, we have a couple of items. The first one tells the browser what characters to use within the operating system in order to display the page. And we're using UTF-8 because it tends to translate into other languages a little bit easier than the old character set we used to use. Also, there's a title on the page, and you can see it says Untitled Document here. Now it also says Untitled Document up at the top of our Dreamweaver page. If I go to change this, so let me just type in travel. When I click off of it, you'll see what Dreamweaver does. It's an example of specifically what Dreamweaver is doing for you. So whatever I put here ends up between the code for the title tag on your web page. So this is basically what Dreamweaver is doing behind the scenes. Even though it looks like nothing's happening, it really is underneath it all. And as you move forward in working in any program that deals with the web, but Dreamweaver specifically, we need to pay attention to what we're doing within the body of the page, because sometimes we can accidentally affect code on the page and things can change that we didn't plan on changing. And you'll see that happen. I'll make it happen so you can begin to see how to correct some of these things that can happen. Just remember, Control-Z or Command-Z is our friend. We can always go backwards and undo as long as we haven't closed the page or done too many steps forward to make it really complicated to get back to that point. So that's just an overview of the code for an HTML page. You can see there is code here, and we need to be picky about not deleting any code we don't understand, because sometimes you can have a problem with your page if you do that. But that is an HTML5 doc type we're going to be using moving forward in the course. That's preparing for when HTML5 becomes a standard, and browsers will support this type of doc type now, so it makes sense to go ahead and start using it. But that's a brief overview of HTML coding, specifically the coding Dreamweaver adds before we ever get to the web page and we start adding our own content.